Hello everybody and welcome back to Between the Ropes TV. We've finally got a video with all three of us on. I think this is the first of the year and probably been before Christmas since all three of us have been on. And what a video to do it on. We're going to be having a bit of a debate today as Tyson Fury. Well, let's put it this way. I'll start it off. Tyson Fury is starting to show that he's a bit of a coward, in my view. Doesn't want the Dillian Whyte fight. And I put him at number one in the heavyweight division. For me, Tyson Fury is not number one anymore. I'm just going to put it out there. Tyson Fury is not number one because he beat Deontay Wilder. And as we know, fights, styles make fights. And I'm starting to question, is it just the fact that that was a perfect fight for him, the perfect opponent? It looks like he's ducking Dillian Whyte over financials, apparently the guy that's not bothered about the money. But look, I've said enough already. Ben, would you still place him at number one?
Yes, he is the number one heavyweight, let's face it. Your Mike Stoles is a number one heavyweight, but this situation, it's a joke. I think at the end of the day,
I just think because I didn't. I was just that angry about the whole situation. I've not even bothered to explain it.
Well, the thing is with Fury, he's meant to be fighting Ngannou. Well, there's rumours it could happen. I just think to myself, what happened to this Fury who's going to fight White, going to fight AJ twice, going to fight Chisora, all in the space of 12 months, and now you're going to fight someone which is ruining the boxing legacy. Ngannou, yeah, he's probably the hardest hitter on the planet, people say, but he's not a boxer. If he wants to get in the ring and box, he needs to at least work his way up a little bit, then jumping in with world number one at heavyweight. Like, fight a Chisora, do something like that. You think of Serrano and Clarissa Shields, two top-class female boxers, they didn't walk into MMA, UFC and demand to take on the best. They just went there and tried to work their way up.
And put it this way, like the fact that, you know, he's already looking at a UFC opponent. I mean, he spent time insulting Jake Paul for fighting UFC fighters.
There you go.
Done that. It's Tyson Fury, Josh, now just a Jake Paul that's just looking for the cash grab.
Well, this is the facts, right? So Ben's just pointed out correctly, I've got my 5-fight,
Can I get that in writing?
No, you can't. Mainly because you couldn't
say this.
You couldn't
You just want to screen clip that, don't you? Ben's got that correctly, and you'll just be pressing play every time he argues with you in future videos.
Well, the 5-fight plan, and then he'll ride off into the sunset. So here's what I think. If he wants to go and fight Francis Ngannou for the money, all respect to the likes of Floyd Mayweather, he did this. He, 49-0, fought Conor McGregor, monster payday. And obviously Conor McGregor was the best division-wise MMA. It made sense. So if Tyson Fury was stuck to his 5-fight plan, in fairness to him, he'd have took out the boxing heavyweight division. No one could really argue.
Yeah.
There would be some emerging contenders. But if then at the end, so the start of 2023, he came and said, I'm going to fight Francis Ngannou now for a monster payday, I'd have no objections. However, the fact that he's doing it's on Twitter. They're trying to sort of obviously get the traction. He's doing that now. When Scott's rightly pointed out, you beat Klitschko, respect to it. He's then beat Wilder. There are still question marks over, as Scott said, was that just the perfect fight at the perfect time? What are we doing here, Tyson? You talk, money doesn't matter to me. I mean, I read a report the other day that he only paid himself £70,000 last year. He doesn't need the cash. He doesn't live that lifestyle. Well, prove it.
Let me point this out, okay? I'm going to put a statement here that if this is the way he's going, I think it's the death of the heavyweight division at the moment, because I've said he's not number one, but then who would be? Because it's not Joshua.
It'd be Usyk, wouldn't it?
He's not even a heavyweight, a natural heavyweight. I mean, it can't be Dillian Whyte. I mean, I love Dillian Whyte, but he can't be number one. He hasn't proved it. So he would be number one at heavyweight if it's not him. And I really think at the moment Tyson Fury is holding and has the opportunity is holding all the integrity of the division, all the buzz about the division. Otherwise, without him at the moment, it's just a bunch of average Joes slogging it all around at each other.
Well, I'm not having that. They're not average Joes. I'm going to defend the heavyweight division here because Joshua's picked up a couple of losses, avenged one of them. Wyatt, in fairness, there's the Joshua loss, but he avenged Povetkin. Deontay Wilder's tried a couple of times, couldn't avenge his. But we shouldn't be bothered about losses. I'm sick of hearing about that. You know, we heard Benj yesterday on his Lopez video talking about that you can bounce back from the losses, and that's what will happen. You look at the heavyweight greats of the past; they've all lost, but they fought each other.
Yeah, you say that. Is anyone else apart from Tyson Fury in this division at the moment ever going to be considered a heavyweight great, or has the opportunity to be considered a heavyweight great?
Usyk has to be, though. I know he's saying he's not a natural heavyweight, but he's fighting at heavyweight. He's got the belts.
It's early days at heavyweight for Usyk, but right now he has the potential. Because in fairness, we've just said
he beat. Like, let's put it this way: he beat Joshua. Now, I'm not being funny. I don't rate Joshua. Joshua lost to a 20-stone man who wasn't. Right. It weren't 20 stone of muscle, was it? So
yeah, but we've just sat here and said, if Fury cleaned up the division, he'd be the number one go down as a heavyweight great. So just because he's a big heavyweight, if Usyk, so he's beat Joshua, he beats Joshua in a rematch. He then beats the Wilders because he's still in there, beats White, beats Fury, who knows, beats Filip Hrgovic, Joseph Parker. He beats all those names just because of size-wise, he's not a modern-day traditional heavyweight. Because don't forget, dimension-wise, 20, 30 years ago, he is a heavyweight. It's only that heavyweights have got bigger. Could we sit here and say Usyk's not a heavyweight great?
Well, okay, let me put
you got you there, didn't he, Scott?
Game, set, and match. Yeah, I'm out.
Let me pick up on one key thing there. In order to become a heavyweight great in this division, you have to beat Tyson Fury. And let's bring it back to the main part of the video. At the moment, these people aren't going to be able to fight Tyson Fury because he's out here doing stuff.
If Fury's off tickling Francis Ngannou in the octagon, you can't blame Usyk for that.
No, you can't. But everyone would say, what about the Fury fight? Ben, I mean, Tyson Fury, right, obviously, he's hiding behind money, isn't he, with Dillian Whyte at the moment? 80-20.
Yeah. That has been extended, we should say.
And that's not a fair split. 70-30 I could take. But 80-20, that's a bit of a muggery to White. White's a big pull in this country. That would sell out arenas. It wouldn't do quite as well as Joshua, but it'd be a pretty good mandatory.
Name another fighter. You can't name another fighter who does pay-per-views without a world title apart from White. Well, Parker and Chisora did, but that's the thing. Like you say, White's a huge pull. That's what everyone wants to see. And the thing with Fury, he's got a huge following. And you ask his following if they'll be disappointed if he takes his fight over White. Everyone say they will.
No, I'm going to actually disagree with that. I think we're Tyson Fury fans. We do like him. I know Scott had his bronze bomber T-shirt and was absolutely. Oh, well, we think he was on crack. We didn't quite get around to drug testing him. But being serious, you look at Ngannou's record because he's a credible fighter, but he's not a boxer. 16 wins, 3 losses. He's never been knocked out. In fairness, all decision losses, 12 knockouts and 4 submissions. So in fairness, he's regarded worldwide as one of the biggest punchers on the planet. And I will say, just to give balance, so as we're not all just ranting, there's one way this fight would actually intrigue me. And I saw Tyson Fury had tweeted about boxing rules in a boxing ring with MMA gloves on. Now, I will say that would interest me. To be totally honest, don't get me wrong, I don't change my stance. I want it after he's cleared the heavyweight division, if that's what he's going to do. But that would be interesting.
It would be interesting, but at the moment, there's credible challengers, and there's Dillian Whyte is waited how many years to get an opportunity? The answer is too many. And, he should really be honouring that. He really should. It's an absolute disgrace. And, he throws out words like bum and dosser. Well, Tyson Fury, if he takes this fight for me, he's a bum. He's a dosser. He's
what do you want to say? Francis Ngannou, he's a big puncher, but it's not that you don't want to see him in boxing. You just don't want to see him take this fight now. If he wanted to come in and challenge someone else and put on a bit of a show and got some W's to his name, no one would argue. Yeah, he wouldn't have to come in at the bottom. He could come in a little higher. But I'm not saying that we don't want him in the sport. I'm just saying that's a fight we don't want to see now.
You don't step in at the number one
heavyweight, do you? Yeah, but people will argue with that Conor McGregor did. And, Scott's right, in fairness. He mentioned Jake Paul earlier. And you have to say, in fairness, about Jake Paul, he has highlighted the fact that there's a huge disparity between what boxers are earning and what UFC fighters are earning. Francis Ngannou, I believe, I'm not an MMA fan, so if anyone is, please let us know what the facts are in the comments. But I did read that his contract's up after his next fight, which is against a guy called Cyril Gane. Can't shed any light on that. But if his contract's up and he's looking to make a payday, in fairness to Francis Ngannou, why is he going to take the risk of working his way up boxing rankings if he can jump in and fight Tyson Fury for, who knows, 10, 20 million quid?
The thing is, from his point of view, you do get it, don't you? But you go back to McGregor, it was pretty much the end of Mayweather's career. How long had he been out the ring when he took that McGregor fight? I can't quite remember, but it wasn't like he was still walking around. What was that, sorry?
2.5 years.
That's what I mean. It wasn't like Fury, was it now, who's just beat Wilder for, let's say, the third time. It wasn't the same circumstances for me. I think so. You struggle to put him in the same ballpark.
Yeah, and I think my final point on that would be this. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather was called Floyd the Money Mayweather. Fury's supposed to be Tyson the I don't care about money Fury. They're two completely different characters. Tyson Fury's not going to stand there and ask a reporter if he's ever made 100 million in one night. It's just not going to happen. And look, my last message and my closing statement to Fury is, unless you're a complete, absolute dosser, fight Dillian White, get it done, take out the rest of the division. And to be fair, if this fight happens at like a natural point where, let's say, I don't know, AJ has to fight Usyk and Tyson Fury has time whilst they're scrapping to get this fight done, then fair enough. But at the moment, fight the credible opponents and don't be a big bum and don't be a dosser. Anything else, guys?
Outstanding, but I wouldn't put it quite like that. But I back the sentiments. Fight Dillian White, fight Anthony Joshua, fight Usyk, and then go and have a roll around with an MMA fighter.
Yeah, just don't fight Wilder again.
Fury, you're a dosser. Hit that subscribe button. Guys, we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Cheers.